ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ jùmọ̀ kọ orin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àwa ni ògo adúláwọ̀.
Ẹ kú alálẹ̀ o gbogbo ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wa. Ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yìí, ẹ sì kú bójú ọjọ́ ṣe rí. Ṣé àlàáfíà ni gbogbo wa wà? Àwọn ará ilé ńkọ́ o? Àwọn àǹtí ńkọ́? Àwọn bọ̀dá ńkọ́? Àwọn ọ̀nkú ńkọ́? Àwọn dádì wa ńkọ́? Àwọn ènìyàn wa ńkọ́ gbogbo láti orígun mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin àgbáláyé. Níbi yóò kẹ́tì lè máa gbọ́ mi ní àṣálẹ́ yìí, mo kì í pé ẹ kú ìfọmọ ènìyàn ṣe. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ mo fẹ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó jáde ní ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ní àná nítorí pé tí ò bá sí ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ wọn ni àwọn tó ń dúnkòkò mọ́ wa wọn bá túbọ̀ máa dúnkòkò mọ́ wa sí ni. Ṣùgbọ́n nípa agbára Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè kò sẹ́ni tó máa dúnkòkò mọ́ ọmọ Yorùbá ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Alẹ́ yìí ọ̀rọ̀ wa ò ní pọ̀, ṣókí ni ọbẹ̀ ògbé la máa fi ṣe. Gbogbo nǹkan tá a dẹ̀ fẹ́ sọ náà ó dá lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bá ṣe máa bọ́, ọ̀rọ̀ bá ṣe máa yọ, ọ̀rọ̀ bá ṣe máa ní ìlọsíwájú ní ohun tá a gbé dání. Mo ní bàbá wa Àjàlá, ó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé èmi àti wọn á jọ sọ̀rọ̀ púpọ̀ nípa topic tí a máa nípa àkọlé tí a máa sọ ní àṣálẹ́ yìí. Ó dá mi lójú pé àìsí ń bẹ ni àìbá wọn ṣe ni bàbá máa fi gbogbo ohun tá a máa sọ ní àṣálẹ́ yìí ni bàbá máa fi ṣe, nítorí pé oríṣiríṣi nǹkan la fẹ́ sọ. Àwọn nǹkan tá a lè fẹ́ sọ náà ó dá lórí àwọn nǹkan tó lè fa ìdíwọ́ ìdènà fún ohun tá a gbé dání tí a sì fẹ́ kí ìdíwọ́ ìdènà kankan wà lórí ohun tá a gbé dání. Ṣùgbọ́n síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ kí la máa ṣe sí, ọ̀nà la máa gbé gbà, báwo la ṣe máa rìn, báwo la ṣe máa tọ́, kí la máa ṣe, kí la gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe, àwọn ètùtù wo la gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe, àwọn eré wo la gbọ́dọ̀ sá, nítorí pé gbogbo ohun tí agbára tí Ọlọ́run bá fún ọmọ káàárọ̀ oòjíire, ọmọ ẹni tí a yàn, gbogbo rẹ̀ ni a fẹ́ bẹ̀wò ní àṣálẹ́ yìí. Àti pé àwọn kan rán mi iṣẹ́ sí àwọn tó ń darí orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà, pàápàá jùlọ àwọn tó wà ní sáà agbègbè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ohun méjì ni àwọn alálẹ̀ ní kí n sọ fún wọn. Gbogbo ohun méjèèjì náà ni a máa yànnàná ẹ̀ ní àṣálẹ́ yìí, nítorí pé a béèrè àwọn ìbéèrè kan lọ́wọ́ àwọn alálẹ̀, wọ́n sì ti dá wa lóhùn. Ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́ tèmi béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn alálẹ̀ ni pé gbogbo agbára tẹ́ ẹ ní níbo lẹ kó sí, ẹ kó jáde náà, ṣé ẹ máa jẹ́ kó máa yàn wá mọ́ ẹbọ báyìí náà ni. Wọ́n sì sọ pé àwọn ò sùn rárá. Wọ́n lè sọ pé àwọn ò sùn yẹn, ó dá mi lójú pé wọ́n ò sùn. Mo ń fojú ẹ̀gbẹ́ kan wo bàbá mi bóyá wọ́n ti dé ni, mo sì ti rí wọn pé wọ́n ti wà ní ìkàlẹ̀. Bóyá kí a tó máa fi ọ̀pá pọ̀lọ̀pọ̀lọ̀ péjọ, bóyá kí n gbé bàbá mi wọlé kí àwọn náà kọ́kú bá a dá sí dáadáa nítorí pé tí wọ́n bá bá dá sí dáadáa yẹ gangan ni ó máa yà wọ́n lẹ́nu díẹ̀ pé ibi tí mo mú ètò náà lọ lálẹ́ yìí ó yàtọ̀ sí ibi tá a ti ń tó bọ̀ bọ̀ nítorí pé ọmọ àwọn alálẹ̀ náà ni bàbá náà mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ díẹ̀ kò dẹ́ ń ṣe díẹ̀ wọ́n mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀ púpọ̀ ni ẹ jẹ́ kí a gbé bàbá wọlé kí a béèrè lọ́wọ́ bàbá ẹ káalẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú ẹ bá mi kí àwọn ọmọ yín gbogbo tí wọ́n ti ń retí yín nítorí wọ́n ti ní bàbá àjàládà ní gbogbo wọn dẹ̀ ń pariwo ẹ ṣé bàbá ẹ bá kí àwọn ọmọ yín o.
ẹ kú àṣálẹ́ ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́ mo kí gbogbo yín tẹ́ gbìyànjú láti dúró láti gbọ́rọ̀ yìí mo mọ̀ pé ilẹ̀ ti ṣú ní orílẹ̀-èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì ilẹ̀ ti ṣú ní ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà àti orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá tó fẹ́ jáde sí gbangba kí gbogbo àgbáyé mọ̀ pé Yorùbá jẹ́ ìkànnú àwọn ẹ̀yà tó lè dá ṣe nǹkan fún rẹ̀. Mo kí gbogbo yín mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín pé ẹ máa ń farabalẹ̀ gbọ́ àwọn nǹkan díẹ̀ tí mo ní láti bá yín sọ. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn ilé yín o kí àwọn ọmọ tìyàwó àtàwọn ojúlùmọ̀ yín gbogbo pátápátá ní gbogbo ibi tán bá wà ní gbogbo àgbáyé ẹ kú kalẹ̀ o ẹ ṣé.
ẹ ṣé bàbá mo dúpẹ́ púpọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín àwọn ọmọ yín náà kí n lórí ẹ̀rọ gbogbo wọn ló ń juwọ́ sí yín àwọn kankan tí wà tán jù jù báyìí mo wá wò pé ṣé èèyàn tún máa ń jó báyìí ni mo rò pé àwọn pẹpẹ náà máa ń jó bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ṣùgbọ́n tínú èèyàn bá dùn kò sí irú ijó téèyàn ò lè jó nítorí pé tínú èèyàn bá dùn èèyàn lè jó bí ó di láìrí lù àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni inú àwọn ọmọ yín ṣe dùn tó ní àṣálẹ́ yìí ṣáájú bàbá ní àti bí ọjọ́ méjì sẹ́yìn ni a ti ń ṣe àwọn ìwádìí kan àwọn ìwádìí tàdé ń ṣe ni pé irú ìgbésẹ̀ wo la máa gbé ọ̀nà wo la máa tọ̀ ṣé àwọn alálẹ̀ yìí gbogbo bọ́n ṣe ni wọ́n ní agbára tó ṣé wọ́n ní bá gbé àwọn agbára yìí síta láti lè má jẹ́ kí ìyà jẹ ọmọ Yorùbá bí ìyà ṣe ń jẹ wọ́n nísìnyí àti pàápàá pé ọ̀nà wo gangan la fẹ́ gbé gbà tí nǹkan máa fi lọ déédéé fún wa tí kò fi ní dàbẹ̀ nípò dojúrú nítorí pé tèmi bá wò dáadáa mo fẹ́ lè lò dojúrú díẹ̀ ìgbà ṣe àwọn ìwádìí tó yẹ ká ṣe wọ́n ní ọmọnìyàn ọmọ tí wọ́n yàn ní wá àti pàápàá ọmọlúàbí ni àwa Yorùbá kíní yẹn feedback láti ọ̀dọ̀ yín bàbá mi mọ nǹkan tá a ṣe sí òkè rí bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n feedback lálẹ́
bóyá rédíò channel tó wà lẹ́yìn kò jìnnà sí wa.
ok ó lè jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣé wọ́n ń gbọ́ lórí rédíò náà báyìí báyìí àbí.
ó tì wọ́n lè gbọ́ torí
ẹ ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀ ok ọlọ́run á fún yín ṣe.
ó ti wà active ó kù àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ bíi mélòó kan tá a máa ṣe.
àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tẹ́ máa gbé yẹn ọlọ́run á fún yín ṣe ọlọ́run àánú ní dojú àdúrà tì yín gbogbo eré tẹ̀ ń sá pé kílẹ̀ Oòduà kó lè di olómìnira gbogbo ẹ̀ ní ọlọ́run máa gbà fún yín ní àṣẹ Elédùà. ohun tí a sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí nínú àwọn ohun tá a ṣe ni pé kí ló dé tí nǹkan fi le gógó láti gba ilẹ̀ Oòduà pẹ̀lú gbogbo agbára tá a ní. àwọn àlàyé tí wọ́n ṣe fún mi ni pé ọmọlúàbí ni wá ṣùgbọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀pá àṣẹ àwọn bàbá wa tí àṣẹ inú ẹ̀ ti sá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ọmọlúàbí tó wà lára ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ti sá lọ àti pàápàá nígbà tí ọmọlúàbí tara wa gan ti sá lọ ó wá di ọ̀rọ̀ pé àwọn tó yẹ ká fẹ̀yìntì wọ́n wá fún wa ní àròdàn pé ká lọ gba àròdàn wá lórí ìrìn àjò yìí ṣe hàn pé tí àgbàlagbà bá fẹ́ da ọmọdé láàmú tọmọdé ò bá gbọ́ràn wọ́n máa ní kó lọ gba àròdàn wá náà ni àti pàápàá pé ká bẹ àwọn bàbá wa àwọn bá wa kán yé fún wa ní oko tó dí sámọ́ oko tó dí kàn yé fún wa ní oko tó dí ṣánṣán, kàn yé fún wa ṣánmọ́. Àti pàápàá pé ìwà ọmọlúwàbí yẹn a gbọ́dọ̀ wá jáde ní kíákíá. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ní àwọn òsùn, àwọn alálẹ̀ láwọn òsùn, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn tó ní àṣẹ lẹ́nu ó wà lára àwọn tí à ń kọjú ìjà sí, tí à ń rí fín, àwọn tí a fi ọmọlúwàbí bá lò. Àwọn tí a fi ọmọlúwàbí bá lò wípé a dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ fi ọmọlúwàbí bá wọn lò kí nǹkan tó lè lọ déédéé dé ibi tó yẹ kó lọ déédéé. Ẹni tó ń pè mo ti wà lórí ètò ẹni tó ń pè o. So pé lálàkọ́kọ́ a gbọ́dọ̀ wá ọmọlúwàbí wa jáde kí àwọn onílẹ̀ ká wá sọ fún wa pé kí wọ́n tì wá lẹ́yìn. Àti pàápàá wọ́n rán mi iṣẹ́ kékeré kan sí àwọn tó ń yọ wá lẹ́nu ní orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá wípé tí wọn ò bá fi wá sílẹ̀ láàrin ọjọ́ 14 sígbà tá a wà yìí, wọ́n ní wọ́n máa kàn dín nínú yọ̀. Àwọn gbégbọ̀n àwọn darandaran yẹn wọ́n ní tí wọn ò bá fi wá sílẹ̀ láàrin ọjọ́ 14 sígbà tá a wà yìí wípé gbogbo wọn máa kàn ìdín nínú yọ̀. Wọ́n ní ṣé ìdín lè wà nínú yọ̀ ni, nítorí pé kò yé mi bí ìdín ṣe fẹ́ wà nínú yọ̀. Bàbá, kí ni túmọ̀ kéèyàn kàn dín nínú yọ̀ pàápàá gan? Bóyá yín lè ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ fún mi because wọn láyé mi débẹ̀.
Nǹkan tó wà nílẹ̀ sìn kí ṣe gbogbo nǹkan náà máa gbé kalẹ̀ tó máa ṣe ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀, nítorí pé ẹni tí ó bá fẹ́ lọ jagun kò ń sọ fún ẹni tó bá fẹ́ bá jà pé ìbọn tó dáa báyìí ni mo ní o, kíni ẹ̀kú kíni ni mo ní o tí n fẹ́ gbé orí yín sí. Wọ́n ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ láyé àtijọ́ gbà táwọn ènìyàn wa, wọ́n ní ènìyàn, àwọn tán ṣáájú wa tán jẹ́ àwọn tán ṣọ́bodè fún ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, wọ́n ń sọ àṣírí wọn fún ọ̀tá. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni tẹ́ bá wo Second World War, ìgbà tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi, particularly máa sọ̀rọ̀ pa radar. Àwọn òyìnbó tán develop nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ radar tán fi máa ń mọ̀ pé aeroplane ọlọ́ṣẹ́ ti àwọn German wọ́n ti ń gbéra láti airport wọn. Radar ti àwọn British àti mọ̀, but àwọn German ò tètè mọ̀. Àwọn British ò sọ fún wọn pé mo ti ní radar, mo máa rí yín o tẹ́ bá ń bọ̀. So ìyẹn gan ló gba Britain lẹ̀. Very few aircraft, the Battle of Britain tó yẹ pé òfurufú náà ti jà. Àwọn German wá rò pé àwọn British ní àwọn aeroplane tó ju tàwọn lọ, àfi nǹkan tó dẹ̀ wà ń bẹ̀ ni pé ètí Britain ní kò tó dá mẹ́wàá ẹ̀ táwọn German lò, torí wọ́n fọ̀rọ̀ pamọ́. Gbogbo nǹkan kọ́nà sọ́lẹ̀, a mọ̀ pé àwọn alálẹ̀ ti ń dìde. Nígbà tí ẹ bá sọ nǹkan báyìí la fẹ́ ṣe, torí ẹ̀ náà fi máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ ní ṣókí tó ní sọ́tàn nígbà tọ́rọ̀ bá délẹ̀ báyìí. Nítorí náà yẹn ní sọ jù yẹn lọ.
Bàbá, ẹ ṣe ẹ kú àtótónu, ẹ kú ìfọmọnìyàn ṣe. Inú mi dùn púpọ̀ pé kíní ọ̀hún bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí yé mi díẹ̀díẹ̀, nítorí pé ṣé nǹkan tó fà tí àwọn bàbá wa náà ṣe ń fi ọ̀rọ̀ sábẹ́ àwọn sọ fún wa tí wọ́n ọ̀nà fún wa náà nìyẹn bàbá.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o, ká farabalẹ̀. Àwọn ọba yẹn ò gbàgbé wa, mo ti bá àwọn kan lára wọn sọ̀rọ̀. Secretary General àwọn ọba, mo ti mọ̀ for the past 15 years. Ìgbà tí mo mọ̀, tá a pàdé ní Mabula níjọ́ náà, mo dá wọn dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí ṣe máa ń dá àwọn èèyàn wa dúró. La bá ń sọ̀rọ̀, ó kọ́ béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi pé kí ló dé ọmọ Yorùbá òun jẹ́ Alex? Mo ní ẹ má bínú, láyé ìgbà náà ni Olúwọlé lórúkọ tèmi, but wọ́n ní a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe ìsàmì, wọ́n wá ní ká wá orúkọ tá a máa jẹ́, torí mo ti dàgbà ńgbà yẹn, wọ́n wà ní primary 5. So Reverend Ademoye kọlọ́nfẹ̀ẹ́ kan náà wọ́n fún wa ní training àti ẹ̀kọ́ bọ́n ṣe máa ṣe ìsàmì. Wọ́n wá bi mí pé orúkọ wo ni mo fẹ́ jẹ́. Wọ́n wá ti ní okay kó máa jẹ́ John tàbí Stephen. Mo rò lọ́kàn, mo ní ṣé tí máa délé káwọn òbí mi àtàwọn ará àdúgbò kan máa pè mí ní Jonueli tàbí Samueli tàbí Stepheni. Mo ní mi ò jẹ́ gbogbo àwọn orúkọ yẹn. Mo ní òkè kí lórúkọ, ìgbà tí mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ fún wọn ara ẹ̀rìn kí ló ṣe ọmọ yìí pé òkè kí lórúkọ ló fẹ́ jẹ́. Mo ní Alexander. Ṣé ó tẹ́ ẹ lọ́rùn? Mo ní torí mo ti kà nípa ìtàn Alexander the Great. Lọ́kàn mi mo fi sọ́kàn pé kì í ṣe torí ti bí ọ̀rọ̀ ṣe jẹ́ ǹsìn, pé tí n bá lè ṣe díẹ̀ ní bí Alexander ṣe ó máa tẹ́ mi lọ́rùn lọ́jọ́ ayé mi. Bí ṣe ń jẹ́ Alexander ni. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí wá délẹ̀ ǹsìn, à ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa bá ṣe máa gba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kúrò ní ilẹ̀ kọ́ ló fẹ́ kúrò. Ìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ wa gan ló fẹ́ kúrò nínú gbàgà tí a ṣèṣì fi wọ́n sí. We must gauge our future in the quest to be part of Nigeria. When the British ruled us under the colonial era, they ruled us as separate entities. There was only a common thing tí wọ́n identify. Pé okay, there must be administrative cooperation in certain areas, major transport arteries linking all the 3 regions together. Only 3 regions. We were separate. We were not really amalgamated into one single rigid country, which we now put our hands into. That is at the eve of independence. So the West was able to manage its own resources effectively. And they controlled their resources and their finances. There's only a percentage of which I will, in the next edition, tell you the exact figures. And some papers around me which torí pé àtètè sọ pé a máa ṣe tòní ìbá kó jáde, percentage owó wà tí each region máa san sí federal as assistance to federal government management. So láti lè ṣe common services for each of the regions. Western region contributes more. That's one of the figures, 53% of the federal revenue. That is after the Western region tó bá pa gbogbo iye owó tí wọ́n dá sí center. 53% ni. Kì í ṣe 53% of nǹkan tí Western region ní. But tó bá pa ti East, West and North pọ̀, tiwa ìpátá kónú 53%. Tí federal government bá máa wá fún wa ní owó padà fún àwọn services, ọdún àti ń ṣe services wa àti ń run free education, agricultural development, road construction, Shina Bello or Sole Bone had already come into our midst, and the people like Tewogbade, Oni and Son, that later became Harbon because of the expansion of their businesses in the development area, creating critical infrastructure, roads, housing, bridges, covers all over Western Nigeria. Western Nigeria was opened up. I'll tell you to confirm, there's still some roads that are still alive today, constructed in the 1950s, and they are still motorable because they were constructed with an honest intent, without pé wọ́n ká lára owó yẹn sápò tiwọn. They are still motorable. And even the roads, the untarred roads tí wọ́n construct, wọ́n ṣe double gutters sí ẹ̀gbẹ́ méjèèjì, making for proper drainage. Òjòkójò tó bá rọ̀, you will not find a pothole on those roads. That was intelligent construction, intelligent engineering construction. That happened in Western region. I grew up to see this. I used to follow the caterpillars or road graders with their long hole on the side that made these roads. Honestly, that was Western region under the colonial masters. They did not prevent us from developing. The other regions envied us. When it comes to free education and free health, Eastern region tried to emulate us, but they couldn't follow it. For the North, they didn't care about that, all those things. They didn't worry. They established schools for the children of the elites. And one of their most famous colleges was the Barewa College in Kaduna, where they claimed that, we are training managers of the Nigerian economy. Unfortunately, we in the South did not take heed about some of the things happening. And those things are the fact that we were not one. We did not see eye to eye. And what I'm saying did not just start after the Second World War. It kick-started on the 1st of January 1914. It's a Thursday, if you check it out. When Lugard finally addressed the, in quote, nation, which is not a nation. We'll define that later, which I think I've defined in some of my discussions. When they celebrated the coming together of the northern country of Nigeria and the southern country of Nigeria, take note, there were two countries. And there was a paper letter patent called the amalgamation document. It's a letter patent, a claim on a property that this belongs to me. That's what it is. And it's also when you are in engineering or in the field of innovation, inventions, you have to have a letter patent to protect your intellectual property. So was Nigeria. It was a property, a trading enclave of the British, which I always describe as the British trading post called Nigeria. Before they settled down, or most of our people who were highly read already lay claim to that country as if they built it up. The answer is they never did. These are some of the points that we need to address. Then comes to now. If a trading post or a trading organization fails to serve its purpose, or the owner decides to abandon it and hands it over to some other elements in that trading post, and it fails to get up to the position of becoming part of the international quest and race for innovation and development and growth of its people, such an organization, an amalgamated organization, stands dissolved. That's why I am emphatically calling for the dissolution of that trading post called Nigeria. The amalgamation has failed. They now celebrated with 30,000 Doba, the 2nd of January 1914. And the South, a few civil servants came out to just acknowledge that, okay, we'll be answerable to a central government control that was at that time in Zungeru. Lugard now commissioned that Kaduna had to be redeveloped in 1917. And who did they find in Kaduna? With the engineer that came from Britain. I will get his name later. I had those flyers from the archives some time ago, but I can't lay my hands on it. All the specific details will be in my later productions that I will let all of you know. He found one Mr. Denuga, that's a Yoruba man in Kaduna, because they couldn't find any northerner of any particular Western education of note at that time in the field of construction. Adenuga was an architect, and he had some people working for him. The draftsmen and all that were all from the South, not a single northerner. So this gentleman now, having been commissioned by Lugard, he actually is a product of Polytechnic of Central London. You can check it out. The flyers celebrating his life was produced around 1998. So he now settled down and decided, and then said, after completing his mission, because Lugard wanted to quickly move from Zungeru to Kaduna, he preferred to be in the north rather than in Lagos, which was now seen as the capital of the new territory called Nigeria from 1st of January 1914. So he moved to Kaduna. Then now it was shuttling between Kaduna and Lagos. He never really expected that Lagosians and some southern Nigerians, Yorubas, and even on the eastern part, who have had Western education ever before the creation of Nigeria. I said creation. So if you understand that was created for a purpose. It was not created as a nation. It was for a purpose of trade, to boost the economy of the British coffers.
For their self-interest.
So it's trade. Whether it's self-interest or not, it is solid trade. Because people worldwide do that all over the place. But it behoves on the people that are trading with the other to understand the position. But we refuse to understand it, and we started calling ourselves brothers, which is a statement that was made on the in 1957 when we were given the chance to have our own independence. We said, well, then when we refused, well, we are all going to have independence together at the North, East, and West. The East and West got their first taste of self-rule in 1957. And then they declared that we are going to wait for our brothers from the North. They just took their time, and then they had their self-rule in around March or April of 1959. Just the same year that the elections were held on December 12, 1959. Like I said in some of my lists, that election had already been won ever before it was constructed, was done. That election was already won because the consensus distribution had the North with 168 seats, the West 57, the East 77. and the rest balance was shared between the colony of Lagos and Calabar. So at the end of that election, the West was able to get some more seats from the Middle Belt, particularly from Ilorin province, not Kwara, because it was Ilorin province, and then the Kaba province, and a few trickle from the Middle Belt. So they ended up with 73 seats, even though they had the second largest number of votes. Let me remind you, it is not a joy to say, we are the second largest number of votes. The East, yes, when you are saying the East, you say, it shows we are not really one. The NCNC was predominant in the East, the Action Group in the West, and the NPC, which clearly stated without any fear of favor, we are Northern People's Party, NPC, Northern People's Congress. So how do you find an accommodation in such an environment? That is why our fathers have woken up that my children have made a mistake. It is now time to correct it. They are strongly and fully behind us. They are not going to abandon us this time. And that is why all the Obas, they are young youth who are so passionate that we should go, should remember that you cannot have a city of young people only. You need elders for wisdom. And the elders will not step where angels would fear to tread. What I mean by that is, they will look at issues, even though sometimes some of them might make some ridiculous statements. It is not for us to insult them because they hold a link between us and our Lalewa. We cannot also say that they all have lost the powers of their setting up of power of Pauyi. Some of them have been working behind the doors, like they had said earlier. The Secretary General of the Obas, who I have known, had been campaigning throughout every known place that he knew there were Yorubas, including in Benin Republic. And each time he would call me. I don't know why, or because of the discussion I had with him in Mabulat a few years earlier. He felt he could trust me with the information I was going to give, because I had told him that I believe I don't really want to be part of a Nigeria continuously all my life.
Wow.
And then he would let me speak to these Obas. But one thing I do is that I don't try to impress into their minds too much about the quality of who I am with the long degrees and all that. I just do the speaking. I just say I live in London. Kábíyèsí o, kọ́ńtà fẹ́ni, gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá láti mọ̀ pé àti sọnù sínú oko ẹrú, a gbọ́dọ̀ jáde kúrò nínú ẹ̀. That's always my sing song to them. A gbọ́dọ̀. Kì í ṣe pé ó yẹ kí yàtọ̀ sí a gbọ́dọ̀. Ó yẹ kí a kúrò. Ó mí pé wọ́n lè sọ pé okay, kí lẹ fẹ́ dẹ̀? Tá bá ṣe báyìí ṣe máa dúró. Ó yẹ kí nìyẹn. But a gbọ́dọ̀ kúrò nínú oko ẹrú tá fọwọ́ ara wa fà mọ́ra, because àwọn Ìgbò tí wọ́n fún wa ní kíní àyè láti develop Western region under their watch, tó tún fún wa ní nǹkan tá lè pè ní embassy, although they called it a general's office, torí àti ìdádúró ń gbà yẹn. Ìyẹn ni the current Nigerian embassy táwọn ń lò. mo máa ń lọ síbẹ̀ regular. Mo ti pàdé Lai Muhammed níbẹ̀ rí. Wọ́n lè rántí mi tó máa ń gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ̀. Nígbà tí mo sọ fún wọn pé Nàìjíríà yìí ló ń ṣe ibi tí ó yẹ kí Yorùbá máa waste time láti dúró sí, torí pé ìlọsíwájú Yorùbá ti wà, wọ́n ti gé kúrú, wọ́n gé títí tí ó ti fẹ́ sọnù.
Ó ti di àràrá, ó ti kéré ju àràrá lọ pàápàá.
Ó ti fẹ́ ra mọ́lẹ̀ tó máa ń sọ fún. Àwọn ẹ̀yà wa tán wá láti òkè ọya lọ́hùn, wọ́n máa ń sọ, àwa la ń bẹ̀rù, àwa la sọ̀rọ̀ síbi tó yẹ kó a sọ̀rọ̀ sí. Wọ́n máa ń sọ pé this embassy is for the Yoruba people. When eventually we break up, they take the embassy back. I tell you, they say it. I've heard them say it. They know. So ìgbà kan tí mò ń sọ fún àwọn bàbá wa kan in the 90s, ká rọra sọ, mo ní kílẹ̀ rọra sọ, it's like ẹ̀ ń fi igi ìgbálẹ̀ bo ojú pé ẹ̀wọ̀n rí yín. Wọ́n mọ̀ pé nǹkan tó wà lọ́kàn gbogbo wa nìyẹn. Kí ló dé? Ìbẹ̀rù ń ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá. Ìgbà tó Òyìnbó ti dé, wọn ò tó bẹ́ẹ̀ tán máa wọlé wa kọ́ńdẹ̀, àfìgbà tán bá jà lóru bí wọ́n ṣe kó àwọn ajá ìkọlà ní lẹ́rú lọ́gànjọ́ òru. Àwọn olè tó ń rìn lóru ni wọ́n ti wá láyà torí ajẹ́ kán ipa tá à ń pera pé we are one. Àdẹ̀fẹ̀tẹ̀ ìbò ń sọ we are one. Kí ni kò sí nǹkan tó lè yà wá. A ti yára wa ti pẹ́. Ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ là ń ṣe nǹkan. Even bá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀, bá ṣe ń wọṣọ, ó kàn pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ti fẹ́ máa wọṣọ bíi tiwọn. Ìgbà tí télọ̀ kan ránṣọ tó jọ tiwọn, mo dá padà, mo ní ọmọ Yorùbá èmi ò lè wọṣọ yẹ̀gẹ̀dì tó máa wọlẹ̀ torí pé kí ni, pé kí n feel no, it's not done. I reject it.
Wow.
Ẹ gbọ́.
Yes, sir.
Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń gbọ́ mi sìn, and every one of our people from the diaspora of the past, not this current one, tá a fa owó ara wa fa. There's hope, very high hope, that the Yoruba nation is going to come up again like the giant it was in the ancient past, where every other nation studies our tradition, our Ifa, our Orisha, our way of life, to the point that in Brazil, we have influenced the Catholic Church that most of them wear white. Nípa èwo, nípa ti ọ̀rọ̀ àlà tó jẹ́ pé nǹkan tán fi bí ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn. They wear white. They respect our religion. In fact, it's the second religion of Brazil, and our language too. Àwa àjókòó sí Nàìjíríà máa forí pamọ́ bíi tòlótòló. Àbí kí ló ń ṣe wá? Àwọn bàbá wa ń ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀. In fact, àwọn tán ní táwọn erroneously pè ní founding fathers, none of them was a founding father. They were born before Nigeria was created. Some of them were just 5 years old. My great leader, Awolowo, was just 5 years old, got born in 1919, and the amalgamation is 1914. So mi pé bàbá wọn sì ń fà wọn lọ sóko gbà tí àwọn Ìgbò dá Nàìjíríà lẹ̀. Or tàbí Azikiwe tó dàgbà ju gbogbo wọn ní 1904 náà bí 1911 ní Balewa. 2010 ní Balewa, 11 ní mo ń gbé àti 10 àti 11 àwọn méjèèjì Amadu Bello àti Balewa, ìkànnì wọn jẹ́ 10, ìkànnì kejì jẹ́ 11. They are all still kids. How do you call these people founding fathers? Ṣé àwọn nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ founding fathers ni àwọn tó jókòó tó ń lọ pààlà tó ń rí pé bíbá ẹ máa dà ọ́, tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ sójú kan náà pé okay, ibi ṣe ọ̀hún àti báyìí tí a wà nú ẹ̀ yìí o, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ máa ṣe pọ̀ ńbẹ̀. Èdè wo la máa sọ? Wá di wòmí wọ̀ ẹ́. Was there any time that these people... Of course, how can kids be founding fathers of a place? Was it the discussions they attended in London that qualifies them to be founding fathers? It's an erroneous statement. They did not found anything. The founding father creates an object. They did not create Nigeria. But they played their own role. But those of us followers mistakenly call them what they are not. And that's why there have never been any agreement between them. And that's why Awolowo was sort of messed up, I want to use that word, on the night of October 1, 1960. Most people don't know. He was sitting in the crowd when he should be sitting on the dais with Princess Alexandra Okia. Do you know why Princess Alexandra came to that instead? A very junior princess to the so-called giant of Africa. A very junior princess. This is because they never expected that Nigeria would continue. When the Queen Elizabeth of now came, may the gracious Lord give her long life, most of us keep on insulting her, and Mama Charlie. It's one of those is our problem, because they don't know the truth.
Baba, is there so many things that we don't know as the truth that is causing issues among Yoruba at the moment? So many people don't know the truth and they talk about it.
That is why we need to open up this. A few of us have gone to dig for the truth. We've spent the better part of our lives looking for it, and we have it.
Even that was the whole truth. But what about the truth now, among what is going on now?
Yes, this is predicated on the past. Because of not knowing the past, the people who are told about the quest for the dissolution, note, I don't use the word agitation. Because if you're agitating, you could be browbeated and appealed to, you see, things will be all right. We are going to create an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. Security will come in again. What security? Who is going to manage it? Is it a place where each of the regions is denied the ability to have its own police force? Is it a case where you have police officers in different regions who do not understand the norms and way of life of the people they are supposed to be policing? Who cannot understand what when an old woman who has not gone to school comes to complain of a thing, and will be looking for a translator? That means that place is not that country is not a country. Countries are made, or nations are made and built on the basis of a people of a common language, ancestral origin, way of life, and all that, and cobbled together. We don't have that in Nigeria. All we have is that we are attempting to speak the language the colonial persons who were with us. We are all attempting to understand it. Just like I always say, I don't understand the English language because I don't understand the roots of some of the words that are used. Because I picked up on one, development. And how do we look at development in Nigeria? We have different
orientation, different culture, different everything.
In the north, when you're talking of development, it's not the same as in the west, and it's not the same as in the east. Look at it. I leave you to try to unravel it because I don't want to give to the details. It is very clear. We were given £2 million each in 1950s, 1 and 2, each region, with a provisional budget to run their regions as they wish. It was a test of waters to see if we can. But the West passed to the point that the rest of the world was praising Western region as an epitome of high development amongst a black race. That's what we were born with. We were able to start free education and free health because ìmọ̀ tá máa ń fún àwọn tí àwọn bàbá wa máa ń fún àwọn ọmọ wọn in those days, which is not recognized, was also formal education. It was not paid for. They expect you to contribute to the community when you have graduated. The same thing with our oníṣègùn àti babaláwo àti àwọn bàbá iléwé, as they are called. They give you medicine after consultation. They don't get a penny from you. That's free health service. So it was easy for Western region to now formally, in the way of the Western world, particularly Britain, to start free health service with proper management, which some of us enjoyed. But for them, I don't think I'll be here now. You see, number inoculation. Several times. I have about 7 my arm here. They were all free. In our local community, every Friday you have to report to your local dispensary to get the medicine for the week. It was free. But our parents paid 1 unit tax. If it was not free, they would be finding money to take care of all their children. Illustratively, Deji of Akure, when he was big canvas for this free health and education, said, "Say gbogbo àwọn ọmọ táwọn bí táwọn bá sanwó orí ẹyọ kan, gbogbo wọn máa lọ sí ilé ìwé ọ̀fẹ́." Wọ́n ní bó ṣe rí ni ẹ̀ kábíyèsí o. He became a champion of free health and free education. His understanding ìmọ̀ tọ́lọ́run Olódùmarè ti fún àwọn tó ṣáájú wa. They did a wonderful job in Western Nigeria, to the point that institutions of learning were of the highest quality. I knew those days, if anybody was going to go to England for continuing his maybe secondary education, the others in Western John say Akomaweni, which will pass a free entrance. It was not a pride then. No man for money pay mo lọ kàwé lóyìnbó pé education bíbá nǹkan. Àtúnmáṣe exam tán tẹ́ máa wọlé. As it was free, there was some testing that you have to go through. The best of the best attended schools in Western region. The second level traveled if their parents had money. That's a fact. Find out from some of our elders. Because someone ridicule àwọn tán bá ń sọ pé òun lọ sí ìlú Èkó ni. See, these are things, the files that has to be opened. We need ourselves together in Yoruba land to recreate what we had started and abandoned in 1960 with the lack of invitation of Awolowo at that time. And within 2 years, he was already in prison. Or he was already arrested and put for to be tried for a treason. And if some of you don't know, he was charged with the fact that his team had planted cutlasses in the 4 corners of Nigeria to use in taking over by force the federal government of Nigeria. We expect people to use cutlasses to face the M16, the guns or the Kalashnikov, the AK-47s. How do you expect them to win? That was the basis of the argument. Or that they went to Ghana for ideological training. Is that enough to sue somebody and send him? It was a deliberate act to make sure that the leadership of Western region and the effective governance was subtly destroyed. That happened. I was growing up. The road construction, the PWD officers, one of them was my uncle, told me, things have gone bad though. That was 1962. We are no longer allowed to go for fieldwork to check the quality of roads that have been constructed because we are told there is no funds. There was funds. It was not properly managed. Awolowo had left. I wish he didn't. I wish he knew that it was better for Western region to be alone or to be separate, and the East would be separate. Then we will have what I'll call a free trade area amongst ourselves, which is what Balewa said in his book, and in his deposition in the 1953 meetings, which I don't call a negotiation for independence. It wasn't a negotiation. It was just a talk shop where parties were asked to represent the whole Nigeria. A party representing the East, a party representing the West, and a party representing the North. To me, it was a traverse of justice. It was if there was going to be a negotiation, it tried being the representatives of the people, not with the parties supporting them. Not the party to represent the West alone. Members of the party, the various parties that exist in their area should have been part of that so-called negotiation. With having gone through the transcripts, was really not a negotiation, because there was no. They had to have another meeting. If they had this, there was no declaration. There was no proper write-up about the aims and conditions of continuing to hold on to Nigeria, even though Oliver Lutyens, the Secretary of State, had mentioned and had said in no clear terms and clearly stated that it's the presence of the British that is keeping Nigeria together. Let this point be taken note of. We have not come to discuss imperialism or neocolonialism. What happened?
Wow.
Like what said, as far as they are concerned, with the legal terms of whereases, four whereases, it's just picking on what is in the transcript. That they will, as far as they were concerned, they will want to have each region to be independent, to have their own army and police, to have their own separate government, control their own resources, and just to have a common free trade area that they have to sign. That would have been the best option for us. But our people from the South, thinking that they know the politics of the world and the politics of, they did not know about nation building. That's my conclusion.
But it's still happening today, Baba. It's still going on everywhere among us. We haven't learned from history.
Yeah, this is why we have to keep on echoing the facts of the past. Because from ancient masters, even in Yoruba land, they bá fọ́ mọ nǹkan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Ẹ kọ́ wo tẹ̀yìn, kẹ́ wá wo tòní, ọ̀la á farahàn pérégedé. We refuse to do that. And even some of our politicians who had said that they don't believe in the continuous existence of Nigeria are now carrying the bell to defend an indefensible. It is sad. without looking at what is the condition of the people. In a country now that Lagos, that's supposed to be the capital, or even the, I would say, the industrial and economic capital of the country, with 21 million, is battling with power load shedding, power outage, every day, year in, year out, since 1969. How do you develop? All the industrial estates that Awolowo created, most of the factories have gone, except one that grudgingly was forced to remain, or a few of them, like this Guinness of Nigeria, could have gone. Because, I'm telling you, it could have gone. But they insisted to stay.
Papa, let me speak to the people at home for a second, sir. Just let me talk to them at home quickly. Guys, it is very, very unpleasant that history seems to be repeating itself both to our babas, to our politicians, and probably to ourselves. Because 30 years and 30 years and 30 years, there's always been a problem. 1993, 1963, 2023, it seems to be coming back again. And who knows what this is going to bear? Awolowo, Abiola, and again, it's coming back for this young man now. The young man that claims to be an old man. I saw his picture in Mecca. He only have a white clothes around him with all his wet. Can't he realize that all this wealth means nothing in the eyes of Almighty God? In the eyes of Allah? In the eyes of Eledumare, whichever language you want to use to call it. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is only one God. You can call it any name. Igbo has a different name for it. But the good thing about it is that the Igbos are not saying our own God is different from their God. We need to know a lot of things. We forget so many things in the past. I had a meeting today when I was trying to find out about these problems. I was trying to explain earlier on. Pikila Mashi. Everything don't suffer me anyway. Katugbe gbese kan ka bere si. Katugbe gbese mi ka bere si. Katugbe gbese mi ka bere si. Títí kan àwọn tó máa wà ní ìpàdé. Ṣé ní báyìí lè wà ní ìpàdé, ṣé kò lè wà ní ìpàdé. Wọ́n bere si. And I was thinking it's a trick. So I said to them, okay. Eléyìí sọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ kí lè ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni now. And then if you have try, I can try. Wọ́n bèrè lọ́wọ́ èèyàn kan tó wà ní abroad. Wọ́n bèrè lọ́wọ́ èèyàn kan tó wà ní ilé Oòduà. And surprise, it was the same thing. I was thinking a coincidence ni. You know, my name is Thomas. They are doubting Thomas. Mi ò gbàgbọ́ náà still. Hey, guys, try another one. And that other one was tried. Okay. Maybe coincidence. Try another one. Come on. It's still a coincidence. Try another one. And try another one. And try another one. Okay, let's try 10 collectively. And the answer was all the same. And the funniest thing is that they don't know about this thing before. But kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àwọn tiwa tá lè máa bèrè sí nǹkan? Even in the church, some people don't like message. Ibo la ń lọ, ibo la ti ń bọ̀.
Yes.
Ibo la ti dé, kí là ń ṣe à ní ṣìnà. Tó bá ní ká má ṣe a máa bá bèrè pé ẹbọ ní ká rú sí tipátipá. Tó bá fẹ́ sọ fún yín pé kò sọ́nà bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n á ní kẹ́ lọ mú orí èèyàn mẹ́jọ wá àbíkẹ́ lọ mú aláboyún tí o ti wọ́n á ṣe àṣọ nǹkan kan tó máa strange sí just to deter you but you don't get deterred. Let's go back to Baba Ajala. Baba, it's getting interesting on a daily basis. Let's go back to this the king tá a sọ pé ọ̀pá àṣẹ sá kúrò nínú àṣẹ sá kúrò nínú ọ̀pá wọn àti pé tọ́ràn wa pé ká lọ gbàrú dán nítorí pé ní ọmọlúwàbí wọ́n wá fún wa ní oko tó tík láti máa ṣán igbó dídí.
ọ̀kẹ́tẹ̀lẹ̀ ni pé gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ ló ti sọnù.
Yes, ẹ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́kùn sá.
nǹkan tí wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe láti jẹ́ kán padà. Ìkíní ni pé kán rántí pé àwọn kọ́ làwọn fara wọn síbẹ̀ tó bá tẹ̀ jẹ́ pé wọ́n ṣe àwọn nǹkan bákan tí kò yẹ kán tó débẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n ó ní ewu téèyàn bá jókòó síbi kan tó yẹ kó ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tí ò wá sọ ọ̀rọ̀ ó léwu. Ọ̀rọ̀ léwu, ọ̀rọ̀ dẹ̀ nípọn. Bó ṣe wà nínú John 1, in the beginning was the word. Ọ̀rọ̀ ti wà pẹ̀lú Yorùbá láti ṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ ayé. Nítorí ẹ̀ náà ni ó jẹ́ pé tó bá ní wọ́n fi ènìyàn sí ipò, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe bí ènìyàn, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe bí ẹranko. Torí àwọn tó fi sí ipò yẹn wọ́n á máa wò lọ́ọ̀kan. Ṣé ẹni tá a fi sípò yìí ó ń ṣe orúkọ tán pè oúnjẹ? Kò yẹ. Èmi nígbàgbọ́ pé àwọn tó ń bá rí pé nǹkan táwọn gbà mọ́ra kò tọ́ sáwọn, kàn ṣe ọmọlúwàbí, kàn sọ pé àwọn ò ṣe mọ́. President wọ́n máa dálẹ̀ kò dìgbà tọ́ba bá kú kọ́ba tó sọ pé òun ò ṣe mọ́. Òkú ọba kọ́ ló ń sọ pé òun ò ṣe mọ́. Ìwà tọ́ba bá ń hù ló máa fi hàn àwọn aráàlú pé kò ṣe déédéé. Ó ti kú nìyẹn. Ó kàn rìn ni. Ó lè ní gbogbo owó tó wà láyé yìí, but kò ní iyì, kò ní gbajúmọ̀, kò ní ọmọlúwàbí tọ́lọ́run Olódùmarè tó fún wa. Nítorí náà kò tí ì bàjẹ́ tán. Torí a mọ̀, mo máa ń bá àwọn ọba kan sọ̀rọ̀ lára wọn. Ìmíì tó bá sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí kò yẹ, kì í ṣe pé ká bú wọn. Tí ìbàjẹ́ pé nǹkan tó wà nínú ọ̀pá àṣẹ wọn kò sí níbẹ̀, ká sì bọ̀wọ̀ fún wọn. Nítorí ẹni tó bá búyàn, ẹnu ẹ̀ ló máa ṣí sílẹ̀. Ẹni tó ń bú, ẹni tó bá gbọ́n kò ní gbé èébú. Wọ́n ní ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹnu ẹ̀ ló fi ń sọ̀rọ̀, kí ló kàn mí? Á wò pé ta lòun bá wí yìí. Ẹni tó bá mọ ìwà ọmọlúwàbí kò sí èébú tó ń ràn. Ẹni tí ò bá mọ ìwà ọmọlúwàbí ló máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń jà pátápátá pé òkè ń lọ mú lágbájá, kí ló dé, ta ni bàbá ẹ̀ tó ń bú òun. Ó ń ṣẹ̀sìn ṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ ni. So ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí, èmi á sọ fún gbogbo àwọn ọ̀dọ́ tán rò bí bóyá àwọn bá wọn ní ipò láti mú, kán má máa bú wọn mọ́. Nǹkan tó yẹ kán ṣe, torí gbogbo wa ní Yorùbá, àtọba àtẹni tó ń gbálẹ̀ ní títì o, tí wọ́n ti lè fún ní orúkọ tó ní ìtumọ̀. Gbogbo wa ní Yorùbá, ká bọ̀wọ̀ fún wọn, kì í ṣe pé ká di ẹrú wọn. Ká lọ bí wọn pé kábíyèsí o, a gbọ́ pé ẹ sọ báyìí, kí ni ìdí abájọ? Àfi rẹ̀ lẹ sọ, kí ni ìdí abájọ tá ẹ fi wíbẹ̀ kí lẹ rí ẹ ṣe àlàyé fún wa tẹ́yìn náà bá rí pé ẹ ní nǹkan míì tẹ máa sọ fún kábíyèsí ẹ nípa kábíyèsí o àti gbọ́rọ̀ yẹn bọ̀ báyìí la ṣe rí gbọ́rọ̀ yẹn jẹ́ o. It's like meeting in council but we refuse to do it. A máa bú ọba. Ọ̀dọ̀ a ní ọba kan ọba Àwò káàánú máa ṣe wá fún ni kì í ṣe pé ká condemn ká káàánú ká sọ̀rọ̀ tọ́ bó ṣe yẹ kí ọba ṣe hùwà. Mo mọ̀ pé lára àwọn ọmọ Òwò mo ń wo gbogbo ẹ̀ àwọn kan dúró tì lẹ́yìn gbangban nítorí kíni torí ìjẹ àbí wọ́n ń sọ làákàyè wọn nù ni wọ́n ń sọ ọjọ́ iwájú wọn nù ni torí ọba gbọ́dọ̀ hùwà ọba. Tó bá jẹ́ òun ni ewé àkókò mú láti jẹ ọba ó yẹ kó hùwà kó lọ kọ́ níbi tó yẹ kán ti kọ́ bó ṣe ń jẹ ọba. Èmi ò tí máa ń wò ó tán ló ń ṣe bó ṣe wù àánú ẹ̀ máa ń ṣe mí ni. Níjọ́ kan ó máa ronú pìwàdà òun máa ti ṣe àṣìṣe. Ṣé ó rò bí eré ìtàgé ni ọba jíjẹ ni? Ó dénjọ́ kan wé ara ẹ̀ ní láwàní òun ti di Emir of Ìwó ó bú Ìwó town nìyẹn ó bú gbogbo ẹni tó jẹ́ Ìwó. Ìwó tó yẹ pé Ìwó tó yẹ pé ìlú tó yẹ pé ó ní òkìkí láyé àtijọ́ tí àwọn òyìnbó kọ nípa wọn sílẹ̀. Ṣé àwa ni ìtàn wà fún àwọn ọmọ táwọn bàbá wọn sọ ní Ìwó wọn kì í fetí sí ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa kì í fetí sí àwọn nǹkan táwọn bàbá wa máa ń sọ. And illiterate ni wọn. I never called any other an illiterate in my life. Torí mo mọ̀ pé àwọn oní ìmọ̀ ni tí bá ti gbá bọ́ọ̀lù tán nírọ̀lẹ́ àwọn bàbá yẹn máa lọ jókòó tì pé kán sọ̀tàn fún mi ibi tí grandfather mi ti sọ nípa pé Nàìjíríà táwọn rí kò ní rọgbọ lọ́jọ́ iwájú pé ibi tí báwọn náà ṣe máa kó àwọn tó ń ṣe kan náà pọ̀ kò sọ pọ́n fẹ́ ṣèlú. So coming back to àwọn ọba èmi máa fún àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wa ní ìmọ̀ràn pé tẹ́ bá rí ọba kan tó ṣe kínní wá bẹ́ ṣe máa lọ kí àwa kí yín ni o kì í ṣe nípa ti ariwo pé ọ̀rọ̀ kábíyèsí ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ sọ yẹn kò yé wa o àwa fẹ́ wá gbọ́ àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ọ̀kẹ́ ẹ̀ ti àlàyé fún wa o tẹ́ bá débẹ̀ kí kó dẹ̀ ṣàlàyé ẹnu ẹ̀ ẹ̀yin náà wàá gbé tí ń kalẹ̀ kábíyèsí o ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o kàn báyìí làwa rí o báwo la ṣe fẹ́ ṣe sí. Nígbà tí wọ́n sọ pé Tálákè ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹn my first thought was that tí n bá lè reach out sí àwọn ọmọ tó ń fẹ́ lọ bá kí n sọ fún un pé ọ̀rọ̀ ìjà kọ́ lélẹ̀ it's like pé ẹ fẹ́ tú ara yín ká ni kì í ṣe ọba yẹn nìkan lẹ bájà ẹ ń bára yín jà náà ni. Ṣọ́rọ̀ mi yé yín.
Ó yé wa sà.
Bá rò pé ẹ mọ̀ ni o bó ṣe rí nìyẹn. Torí ọ̀rọ̀ wẹ́rẹ́ kan báyìí ni àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ìbá sọ fún un pé ẹ rántí ogun àdùbí ni kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣe mọ̀ pé Ẹ̀gbá láǹdì ò kì í ṣe part of Nigeria until 1918 tí Lugard kó àwọn Hausa sójà wá pẹ̀lú maxim gun tó fi tú àwọn ológun Ẹ̀gbá ká ló wá di ọ̀rọ̀ orin dúró dèmi ń bọ́ Sòkòtò ṣe mọ̀ pé okùn náà fi ń so Sòkòtò ilẹ̀ Yorùbá sáyé síbàdí ẹ mọ̀ orin yẹn àwọn ọba ní ipò tán máa kó níbi tá à ń lọ. Àwọn ni wọ́n tún lè lọ bá àwọn alálẹ̀ àtàwọn lára wọn tí wọn ìgbà yẹn gan tán bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń ṣe ìhùwà tí Olódùmarè máa dùn mọ́ Olódùmarè nínú, tán bá yọjú, Olódùmarè rí inú gbogbo wọn, tán bá fi ọ̀rọ̀ ṣe ìkan pé ó ti tó gẹ́ o, àwọn ọmọ wa ní ó ti tó gẹ́, a fẹ́ kúrò ní ibi tá a ti sora mọ́. Olódùmarè àtúnyìn èyí tí ò bá ṣe dáadáa tẹ́lẹ̀, ibẹ̀ náà ni Olódùmarè ti máa kàn sí pé ọlọ́yíwà ìpadà.
ẹ ṣé bàbá fún nǹkan tẹ́ sọ yẹn, nítorí pé ibi tí mo fẹ́ lọ gangan lẹ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbé mi lọ yẹn, nítorí pé ìkan nínú àwọn ọba wa tí mo bá ṣe ìpàdé ní nǹkan bíi ọjọ́ mẹ́ta sẹ́yìn, nǹkan tún pé kí ló dé tí a lè gbé àwọn agbára ilẹ̀ Yorùbá jáde ní kíákíá. Wọ́n ní kì í ṣe dandan ni kí a gbé agbára ilẹ̀ Yorùbá jáde, ṣùgbọ́n ọba tó bá wọ ìpẹ̀bí, ọba tó bá ṣe ti ìbílẹ̀, ọba tó bá rìn bó ṣe kó rìn, tí kì í ṣe àwọn ọba ìgbàlódé, wípé kò sí ẹni tí ọba lè kọjú sí pé ìwọ yìí tó ṣe báyìí báyìí tí ó da yìí rìn wọgbó lọ, tí ó yẹ kó rìn wọgbó lọ, nítorí àṣẹ tọ́lọ́run fún wọn ni, àṣẹ tí àwọn alálẹ̀ fún wọn ni, nítorí pé wọ́n pè wọ́n ní igbákejì òrìṣà. bọ̀ nítorí pé wọ́n ti mú ayé ọ̀làjú ti wọ̀ ọ́, àwọn ọba míì gbogbo ètò tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe wọ́n ṣe mọ́, gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ kán gbé kán tó jọba wọ́n gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ yẹn mọ́. Ó wá di pé káwọn olóṣèlú máa dà wọ́n ríboríbo nígbà tí ò sáṣẹ lẹ́nu wọn, tí ò sí ètò tí wọ́n tò sílẹ̀ mọ́. Ṣé torí pé wọ́n wọ ìpẹ̀bí àbí wọ́n rìn ìrìn àjò yẹn bó ṣe kán rìn, gbogbo nǹkan tó yẹ kán ṣe fún wọn wọ́n ṣe fún wọn, wọ́n gbà kán ṣe fún wọn, torí ẹ̀ náà ṣe ń kọjú ìbọn sí ọba tí ìbọn wọlé sọ́ba lára. Àwọn boys wa gan tó ń ṣe rally gan apá, ìbọn máa wọlé sí wọn lára, ìbọn wọn wọlé sọ́ba lára nítorí pé bóyá ó ní àwùsùbíláì tàbí kó lẹ́jẹ̀ Jésù tó dáàbò bò ń.
Bó ṣe rí nìyẹn, nítorí àwọn ọba wa láyé àtijọ́ wọ́n mọ ẹ gbàgbé pé nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àwọn nǹkan tí àwọn ìbò tún sì ń wádìí nìyẹn, báwo la ṣe ń ṣe tá à ń lo egbé tàbí kánọ̀kù. Àwùjọmíì ó máa hàn lẹ́yìn ibi méjì lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà. Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè ló fún wa ní agbára yẹn. It's higher science, kì í ṣe nǹkan tẹ́ pé ìtàn pè ní pé paganism, it is not. Tó bá jẹ́ paganism, kí ló dé táwọn òyìnbó ń ná owó ribiribi láti wá máa kọ́ àṣà àti èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ìkan tán dẹ̀ ń target ni pé kán mọ bọ́n ṣe ń ṣe kíni ègbé. Torí àwọn scientists náà wọ́n ti ń try, tó wọ́n wá rò pé báwo ni àwọn Yorùbá ṣe ń ṣe tẹ́ pé wọ́n á gbéra kúrò níbi kan wọ́n dẹ̀ tún débì kejì láì jẹ́ kán rí wọn, pé àwọn molecular structure kò dẹ̀ dàrú tó contain èèyàn, ojú ò wá bọ́ sí ìgbàyà tàbí ẹnu kó wà lẹ́yìn, odidi ló débi tó wà. So torí ẹ̀, there great scientific research into how to teleport, táwọn Yorùbá ń pè ní ègbé. They've been able to achieve a few micro-minutes from one location to the other. Yoruba race should not be subsumed into a Nigeria that has destroyed itself. It's like we mortgage our soul and our life and our future into Nigeria. That's why places that have been highly developed now are still struggling. And Ibadan is undercounted. Several papers here that Ibadan is just 2.5 million because they do some magical equation. If the state is about 5 million, so Ibadan should not be 5 million. Okay, look at the records. It's very ridiculous. It comes from the fact that we have not realized who we are. Ibadan was already a million in 1947. I remember one of the Atlas books that my father left, but it was not mine, but I borrowed it from an uncle. And also, it was Ibadan, the largest black city in Africa of a million people. 1947. Yet you are still counting Ibadan. It's 2.5 million in this modern age. I expect the various governments by now to have done an internal survey, quarter by quarter, that will help to get the proper record of who is living in Ibadan. Ibadan and its municipality, a city on 7 hills. A city of 7 hills. Okay, Shapati, and there was different names. You see, and those names have a meaning, a spiritual meaning to the core. We seem to play a game, then it's not. Even our names. Because the white men envy that every Yoruba man's name has a big and deep meaning into the past. All this are we going to throw away in the defense of Nigeria that is destroying our economy? I don't mean the Nigerian economy, the economy of the Yoruba race, the future of the Yoruba race. So, the road is not too far now. Ẹni tó bá mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe òun ló máa mọ nǹkan tó máa ṣe sí láti gbára ẹlẹ. Tí ò bá mọ̀ ní kíní ẹ̀ ṣì máa wà. We know what is wrong. So we are working towards a final solution. And that final solution will be a beginning of our new life. Like starting to pioneer, starting to use our people to work for the progress of our land, because that was the way we were. We were living in a welfare environment, not socialist, not communist. We helped each other to develop what I generally call dukia. Owo ati atoye. In the local areas, we helped each other to go to each person's farm in the various quarters. And you notice our people had lived in quarters that are related to the 4 elements of the world: east, west, and north. We grew up not to look at the meanings of where we live. I expect and I enjoy everyone listening to go back home and start to find out how and what's the meaning of their different area from their towns and villages. The meaning has a lot to do with our souls and spirituality. Every man is born with it. That's why we have prayers. That's why we had the different religions. And that's why we have the Yoruba religion that precedes all the ones we now run after. We say religion. Purity. It espouses purity. Allah. But in every society there's also a dark side. But what the great Yoruba people promote most, and that is why they have survived all this millennia upon millennia, over 10,000 years, because we carry that aspect of purity and make sure we always defeat the elements of darkness in our midst. There's no society without elements of darkness. It's impossible. Those are the two fighting forces. But the winner is always the purity, white, Allah. Well, I implore all youths to sit back and examine the way they act, the way they see other people. I believe it is now that we should not condemn anybody who has a different opinion from us, but we should endeavor with patience to let them know the truth, because they are still part of us. That reminds me of one action I took many years back. We had our group, the Yoruba National Movement. We are nucleus. We did a lot of great things, but we were let down by our leaders that we expected as Yorubas to carry our vision and our actions and our connections in Britain here to the fruition by getting a Yoruba nation, even by 1989. It could have been possible if only our people understood what we were telling them and how far we had gone. So I went to this meeting. One of my members who were young at heart but did not like who, our Yoruba, they're just making a mess. I said, no. Your first sentence was, I want Yoruba. If they are making a mess, that's secondary. I'm going to their meeting. I went. That was where I met late Castellos Shitu. He was a very nice one. They were talking about a Yoruba forum. They want to bring everybody to the means to learn about Yoruba language. There were very many people from the Caribbean, from other places, that their aim is to teach Yoruba language, to espouse the about the culture and tradition of the Yoruba people. I said, that's good, but there are certain things I expect you to do. I didn't go there to condemn them. I went there to work with them. Even though I was told, Emma Losibe, but you said I want Yoruba. That inspired me. When I hear it inspires me. He's one of us. Is he making a mistake? Yes or no? Let me see him. And there, impromptu, I script a speech, which at the end of the day, some of my friends I have now started following it. I was about going to, some of them rushed out of the party. Uncle, Drew, this and that. I didn't understand all this before. I was formerly one who always became British Nigeria, this thing. I now see that I've been fooling myself all these years. That was how they jettisoned the so-called British Nigeria Association. All because of a single speech, because I recognized that he's a Yoruba man, irrespective of what he's been treading upon. It's like somebody walking towards in the end of a plank, that at the end of that plank there's a deep hole or watery end. I went to pull them back to the Yoruba fold. It's all about understanding. All of us have it. We should not shy away from exhibiting it. We should not say, Nigeria. It's like you are cleansing a lot day by, you are cleansing and be bold, because the Yoruba man is a bold man. Teba wo àwùjọ níbi in London bíbá, tẹ́ bá gbọ́ àwọn tó máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ jù tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ sókè nígbà tó máa ń bára wọn sọ̀rọ̀ this kẹ́ tó wo mọ̀ pé Yorùbá ní ìbàjẹ́ pé èbó ló ń sọ. They talk with the pride even though they don't understand that it's the pride of Olódùmarè ló ń exhibit. It comes out naturally from us. And like my ènìyàn mi tó jókòó sí studio, ẹ máa gbọ́ bóun náà ṣe máa ń sọ̀rọ̀. It comes from within, that it talks, it tells the people this is what it is. That shows ẹni tí wọ́n ń pè ní ọmọlúwàbí, ọmọ Yorùbá. Inú mi dùn pé àwọn ọmọ ọ̀dọ́ ló ń gbé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn jáde ibi àti kọ́lọ́run fọ̀rọ̀ kẹ́ Odòmákin sọ̀rọ̀ sókè. Òun á tún fi kún pé ó tó gẹ́ẹ́. Ìgbà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó tó gẹ́ẹ́ movement, àwọn ọ̀dàlẹ̀ wọ́n rán àwọn ọlọ́pàá láti lé wọn kúrò níbi ìpàdé yẹn. Ṣé ó tó gẹ́ẹ́ yẹn wá ti parẹ́ báyìí? Ẹgbẹ̀gbẹ̀rún ọlọ́pàá ò lè pa ìmọ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹgbẹ̀gbẹ̀rún ọlọ́pàá ò ní sí kéka má pè fún dissolution of the amalgam from source. From what happened on January 1st, 1914. It was even àwọn tó ń ṣe said it was a temporary affair in part and of course pé kán fòun lẹ̀. And the last statements by some of the colonial officers that it was too late to reverse this. But what can they do? Let us watch him and see what he's going to do. He has stated clearly, if our people who went to discuss the independence like a not negotiation were privy to all this, and the statements even by Lugard when he was going and was warning about the different the very clear differences between the three major peoples, different nations, the Yoruba group of kingdoms, the Hausa Caliphate, and the both traditional republican setup. If our people had the patience to look at it, if our people did not just becloud themselves with the fact that they understood English language and started calling themselves Nigerians, we will not be in this position where we are now. And I will not be talking to all of you. Maybe I have faced my engineering because I like to see a livable environment in the rural areas. I've done a lot of research into that and how to achieve it. It's not that expensive. It's the use of the human capital we have. We can do it. If we stand out of Nigeria after the dissolution, I promise you within 5 years, other people from other parts of the world will be coming to beg for employment in Yoruba land. And our boys and girls who are highly specialized in their various fields who have taken their bag and baggage and come back home. And it's not difficult to get housing when we also start to build, to make clay bricks cheaply, and we have beautiful environment both in the towns and the villages. Like each time when I close my eyes, I remember the small towns I went to in East Africa, northwest Tanzania, Mwanza region, Misungi. You see a farmer coming from a beautifully built bungalow of clay brick with his hoe on his shoulder, and then you wonder, they are living peacefully. And if any one of them wants to go to the hospital that is nearest to them, they don't have to sleep there. They just go there inside and they come back the same day. I saw all this happening. It was similar to what I experienced when I was young. Our people, if we had brothers living in Lagos and Ibadan, you are from the rural area, you just sọ pé mo máa lọ holiday lọ́dọ̀ bọ̀dá mi tó wà ní Ìbàdàn tàbí Èkó, Ìfẹ́. And you know, by the time you are there, when it's approaching maybe 2 days, you start packing your things up. It doesn't happen anymore. If you are lucky to escape from the village now, you end up in Lagos, and the next thing you are thinking of, you started to doing all the mago. You go to Oluwole to look for a passport that shows a dead country. And when your currency cannot buy value, kobo around, value more. How much more? 5 kobo or 5 naira. And maybe 5 naira still buy some water, a sachet, I believe. And that even then, it has increased in price now. So 5 naira is valueless. Is that kind of country that we want it to continue? If we get our nation back, all this will be a thing of the past. We are going to re-engineer. We are going to start as a pioneer. We are going to use our energy, our steam, our sweat to bring to Yoruba race to the glory it belongs to. Thank you.
Ẹ ṣé bàbá, mo dúpẹ́ pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín fún gbogbo àtótónu yín. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa níbí báyìí ni màá ti máa fi bàbá sílẹ̀ ní àṣálẹ́ yìí kí èmi àti yín lè túbọ̀ yànnàná nítorí pé mo sọ fún bàbá pé wákàtí kan àbọ̀ péré ni. Bàbá ẹ ṣé ẹ kú gbogbo gbà, ẹ kú ìfọmọnìyàn ṣe, ẹ kú gbogbo wàtá ń pè yín tẹ̀ ń jẹ́ wa. Àwọn alálẹ̀ ilẹ̀ Oòduà wọn á tì yín lẹ́yìn, wọn ò ní tì yín lójú ní gbogbo ọ̀nà. Ẹ ní dàgbàyà, ẹ ní dàgbà òṣì, ẹ dẹ̀ ní bá ọjọ́ ọlọ́jọ́ lọ. Mo dúpẹ́ pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ kú ìfọmọnìyàn ṣe. Ẹ ṣé bàbá, àwọn ọmọ yín gbogbo wọn náà ń jù sí yín, tán ń jó sí yín, tán ń juwọ́ sí yín, tán ń kí yín ní mẹ́sàn-án mẹ́wàá níbí báyìí. Ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá.
Mo fi gbogbo ẹ̀mí mi kí wọn. Ẹ̀mí kan náà ni gbogbo á ní o, orísun kan náà láti jáde. Torí ẹ̀ náà mo fi gbogbo ẹ̀mí mi kí yín. Mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ẹ̀mí mi àtẹ̀mí yín ó ń yọ̀ mọ́ra wọn ni. Mi ò ní sọ pé ẹ̀mí mi ń yọ̀ mọ́ yín, ẹ̀mí méjèèjì ń yọ̀ mọ́ra wọn. A máa jójó òyekè tàbá gbàlúwà padà kúrò nù gbàgàtà wa yìí.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá.
Ó dàárọ̀.
Ẹ ṣé sà. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, bàbá wa pàtàkì, bàbá wa ọ̀wọ́n, bàbá wa ẹni ẹ̀yẹ, bàbá tí ó jẹ́ pé tó bá gbọ́ ẹkún ọmọ wọn wọ́n máa ń ta tí wèrè ní gbogbo ọ̀nà. Àwọn ni a ti ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ láti bí wákàtí méjì sẹ́yìn. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn púpọ̀ fún ìfọmọnìyàn ṣe, pàápàá pé gbogbo bàtà bá ti ń pè wọ́n ní bàbá máa ń jẹ́ wa. Wọ́n ṣe púpọ̀. Ọlọ́run aláàánú abamidúró tí wọ́n ní gbogbo ọ̀nà. Ẹ̀yin wa ohun tó kù ni pé kí a yànnàná gbogbo ohun tí àwọn kan fi ránṣẹ́ sí mi, pàápàá jùlọ pé gbogbo àwọn tó ń dà wá láàmú nílẹ̀ Oòduà wọ́n fún wọn ní ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì, which is ọjọ́ 14 péré, pé kí gbogbo wọn kàn palẹ̀ ẹrù wọn mọ́ kí wọ́n kúrò nílẹ̀ Oòduà. Bí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́, ohun tí ojú wọn bá rí kí wọ́n faramọ́. Wọ́n láwọn ò lórúkọ o, nítorí pé orúkọ kọ́ làwọn fẹ́ jẹ. Torí mo bèrè pé kí lórúkọ wọn, olórúkọ kọ́ làwọn fẹ́ jẹ. Pé gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń dí wa lọ́wọ́, gbogbo ẹni tí ò jẹ́ ká gbélé ayé pẹ̀lú ìrọ̀rùn, gbogbo àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ìjọba òkè ọ̀hún tí wọ́n wá di olórí mú wa lọ́wọ́ nílẹ̀ wa, gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ní nǹkan rẹ̀ ṣe nílẹ̀ wa, gbogbo àwọn agbódegbà fún ìjọba àpapọ̀, gbogbo àwọn oníbodè ìjọba àpapọ̀, gbogbo ẹni tó ní lọ́wọ́ pẹ̀lú ìjọba àpapọ̀, tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìjọba àpapọ̀, ìjọba Fúlàní tó wà nílẹ̀ wa, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, wọ́n ní kí wọ́n palẹ̀ ẹrù wọn mọ́, kí wọ́n kúrò ńbẹ̀, kí wọ́n máa padà lọ sílé wọn. Pé bí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́, gbàdúgbàdú ó máa gba owó àgbàdo lọ́wọ́ wọn. Àti pàápàá pé mo bẹ̀ yín ènìyàn wa, nítorí pé wọ́n ní àṣẹ iná ni iná fi jó, àṣẹ òòrùn ni òòrùn fi ràn. Wọ́n ní gbogbo àwọn ọba wa èyí tí ó bá ń ṣe tiwa, yálà ní ojú gbangba àbí ní kọ̀rọ̀, nítorí pé wọ́n fi dá mi lójú pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọba ló ń ṣe tiwa ní kọ̀rọ̀, ṣùgbọ́n tí wọ́n lè sọ síta ní ìsìn nítorí pé àṣẹ tí àwọn alálẹ̀ fẹ́ lò fún wọn ó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń dẹ̀ wọ́n lọ́wọ́ ni ó dẹ̀ ti ń tẹ̀ wọ́n lọ́wọ́ gbogbo alálẹ̀ sì ti dìde fún ilẹ̀ Oòduà láti gbà á padà kúrò lọ́wọ́ àwọn ọmọ àlè akótilétà gbogbo tí wọ́n ń dà wá láàmú so wọ́n ní kí n sọ fún wọn pé gbogbo wọn pátá o a ní nǹkan kan ṣe pẹ̀lú wọn mọ́ àti pàápàá pé kí wọ́n tètè fi ẹsẹ̀ wọn fẹ́ bí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ sẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n ní gbàdúgbàdú àgbàwọ́ àgbàdo lọ́wọ́ wọn mo sì béèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn pé kí ni túmọ̀ gbàdúgbàdú tí wọ́n gbó àgbàdo lọ́wọ́ wọn wọ́n ní mi ní láti mọ̀ túmọ̀ ẹ̀ pé kí n ṣáà jíṣẹ́ fún wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ pé tí n bá ti sọ ẹni tí ó bá létí á gbọ́ ẹni tí ó bá sì fẹ́ gbọ́ nǹkan tí ojú rẹ̀ bá rí wọ́n ní kí wọ́n faramọ́ pé láti ọjọ́ ajé ọjọ́ kẹta oṣù karùn-ún ọdún tí a wà nínú rẹ̀ yìí a máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ka ọjọ́ mẹ́rìnlá tí wọ́n ní kì í ṣe dandan kí ọjọ́ mẹ́rìnlá tó pé kí àwọn tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fi ara wọn hàn wọ́n ní kì í ṣe dandan kí ọjọ́ mẹ́rìnlá tó pé kí àwọn tó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fi ara wọn hàn pé tó bá dé ọ̀la táwọn bá fẹ́ fi ara wọn hàn ní ráńpẹ́ àwọn á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fi ara wọn hàn ní ráńpẹ́ ní ìgbàkúgbà wọ́n ní lẹ́yìn ọjọ́ mẹ́rìnlá àwọn á máa fi ara wọn hàn ní ọ̀nà tó tún yàtọ̀ tó sì lágbára púpọ̀ àwọn ò sì nídìí láti gbé ìbọn àwọn ò nídìí láti mú àdá ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo agbára ilẹ̀ Oòduà làwọn máa lò pàápàá jùlọ ibi tí wọ́n bá kó àwọn ológun sí ibi tí wọ́n bá kó àwọn aṣọ́bodè sí àti ibi tí wọ́n bá kó àwọn ọlọ́pàá sí pé gbogbo bẹ̀ ni àwọn tí máa fi ara hàn ní àìpẹ́ ọjọ́ pé kí gbogbo wọn kí wọ́n máa múra lẹ̀ kí wọ́n sì máa retí àwọn pé tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ mọ̀ bóyá òótọ́ ni àbí irọ́ ni wípé kí wọ́n dánwò wọ́n ní òun ló bí ìyá ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ mo dúpẹ́ pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá wa nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí ètò yìí ní àṣálẹ́ yìí àti ọkùnrin àti obìnrin àti ọmọdé àti àgbàlagbà pàápàá jùlọ bàbá wa Pa Àjàlá mo dúpẹ́ púpọ̀ ní ọwọ́ wọn ní ọ̀la ní agbára Ọlọ́run a ó pàdé bàbá ìjìnlẹ̀ ní láàrin aago 6 sí aago 7 ìrọ̀lẹ́ ni bàbá ìjìnlẹ̀ máa wà lórí ètò tí wọ́n máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn yẹn ó máa ní àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ ẹlẹ́ni 4 tí wọ́n máa bá mi ṣe ètò ní alẹ́ ọ̀la kí ni ètò tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe ni pé ìfúkúnlùkùn ni a pè ètò tí wọ́n ní ọ̀la nítorí pé a fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ìfikùnlùkùn yẹn a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ohun tí àwọn tí wọ́n tẹ àtẹ̀ránṣẹ́ tí wọ́n tẹ̀ sí mi pé kí àwọn gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú ìjọba àpapọ̀ kí wọ́n kúrò ní agbègbè wa nítorí pé Odùduwà time Yorùbá time nítorí pé àwọn fẹ́ máa dábìrà àwọn fẹ́ máa ró bí ẹ̀dùn àwọn fẹ́ máa rọ̀ bí òjò so gbogbo ohun tó bá gbà wọ́n sì pinnu pé àwọn máa fún un nítorí ìdí èyí ẹni tí ó bá gbọ́n kó gbọ́ ohun tí ẹ̀mí ń sọ fún àwọn ọjọ́ bàbá wa kan pè wọlé àbí màmá wa bàbá àbí màmá ẹgbọ́n sókè ti wà lórí kan náà. hello bàbá ẹ yí sílẹ̀ lẹ́yìn lọ́dọ̀ yín o. ó yá ẹgbọ́n sókè sà.
ẹjọ́ ẹ̀kan láti béèrè lọ́wọ́ bàbá wa orúkọ tèmi ní Mọ́táyọ̀ Fáṣákín láti Paris.
bàbá ti lọ ní alẹ́ yìí ṣùgbọ́n ó dà ń pé ìjọ Tuesday or so wọ́n máa wá padà again ṣùgbọ́n ẹ ṣì lè béèrè ìbéèrè yín bóyá tí Ọlọ́run bá fún mi lórí ẹ̀fẹ́ láti dá yín lóhùn máa dá yín lóhùn sà.
ìbéèrè kìíní ni wípé wọ́n sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn àwọn ò lè lo language agitator fún nǹkan tá à ń ṣe yìí. So wọn dẹ̀ sọ kí ni nǹkan tó yẹ ká lò in place of agitator.
wọ́n ní dissolution, we are calling for dissolution of the amalgam nítorí pé a kì í ṣe ìlú kan náà, a kì í ṣe èdè kan náà, a kì í ṣe ẹ̀yà kan náà. Nítorí ìdí èyí ni bàbá ṣe ní pé àwọn pé táwọn bá fẹ́ ṣe dáadáa o kò yẹ ká máa lo agitator sí, nítorí pé ká ní ẹ̀yà kan náà ni wá a lè máa lo agitation, but nítorí pé a kì í ṣe ẹ̀yà kan náà àti pé àwọn eléèbó àwọn gẹ̀ẹ́sì àwọn ló fi tipátipá so wá pọ̀ wípé dissolution ni kí a máa pé ká túká náà dẹ̀ ni iṣẹ́ mọ̀ pé divorce ni eléèbó máa ń pè tó wáyé pọ̀ ọkùnrin àti obìnrin ni. tọ́ba nífẹ̀ẹ́ ara mọ́ divorce ni, so wọ́n ní nítorí ìdí èyí dissolution ni ó yẹ kí a máa pè é. Ẹ ṣé bàbá, ó dá mi lójú pé mo rò pé mo gbọ́ yẹn.
Ìbéèrè kejì mi ò tí ì béèrè tí mo lè béèrè.
Ẹ béèrè bàbá.
Ìbéèrè kejì ni pé wọ́n amalgamation yẹn ní 1914.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Àwọn tó sáìn yẹn àwọn orúkọ wọn.
Wọ́n ní kò sí àwọn tó sáìn yẹn. Wọ́n ní kò sí àwọn tó sáìn yẹn.
Èwo wá ní jọ pé wọn ó ti dùn táwa.
Nítorí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn tó so wá pọ̀ wọ́n ti fi òye, wọ́n ti fi àmì hàn, wọ́n ti pa lówe, wọ́n ti sọ́lẹ̀ náà fún wa pé ẹ̀yin ará bíbà yìí ẹ má bá àwọn ará bíbà yìí ṣe. Wọ́n ló dé wà nínú ìwé tó ń pè ní The Administration of Nigeria from 1900 to 1960 tí Nicholson ṣe. Ó ṣe mí láàánú pé ìwé yẹn ó ti wọ́n nígboro lẹ́yìn ìgbà tí bàbá sọ. Wọ́n ní tẹ́ bá fẹ́ wò dáadáa kẹ́ wo from page 80 something títí di bí 110 wípé ẹ̀rí gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n kọ níbẹ̀ pé àti pàápàá nígbà tí wọ́n máa ṣe independent in 1960 Queen Elizabeth kọ́ ló wá, princess, he was a junior princess ni wọ́n rán wá nítorí pé àwọn gan mọ̀ pé ó sì máa wà dísìn àti pàápàá wọ́n pe Awólọ́wọ̀ orí àga níwájú àárín àwọn èrò ní bàbá wà gbàdógbàdó mi ń gbàdógbàdó ẹ̀yin gangan lẹ gbàjú bàbá mi. ṣé mo dá yín lóhùn dáadáa sà? mo gbìyànjú. Ẹ ṣé bàbá wa, mo dúpẹ́ púpọ̀. Bàbá ó ti ń yanjú bọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ó ti ń yanjú.
Bóyá wọ́n ìlè bá wa tẹ̀ tó bá jáde ká gbọ́. God, that is the reason why those of us cancel history ní school ní Nàìjíríà.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Ìwé yẹn wà ní ẹ máa wá online from time to time ni. Wọ́n pè ní the amalgamation, the administration of Nigeria. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n wo bóyá ó wà lórí Amazon lálẹ́ yìí. Ṣùgbọ́n tí n bá ti wò the administration of Nigeria. (1960 to 1900 to 1960). Ẹ jẹ́ kí n fi 1900 sí náà.
Yes, sir.
Kò sí lórí Amazon lọ́wọ́ tá a wà yìí, ṣùgbọ́n tí ẹ bá tẹ̀ sórí Google fúnra ẹ̀ bóyá a lè ríra ń bẹ̀ níjọ́ tí a ṣe tí bàbá kọ́kọ́ dárúkọ òwe yẹn ká tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò yẹn bíi 60 something ni mo rí online jọ yẹn ṣùgbọ́n lẹ́yìn ìgbà tá a parí ètò yẹn 60 something ni mo rí online níjọ́ yẹn ṣùgbọ́n lẹ́yìn ìgbà tá a parí ètò yẹn a kàn rí pé àrí kankan mọ́ ń bẹ̀ ni. ṣe
èèyàn máa gbọ́ tí ò ní pa àwọn èèyàn mìíràn ṣe ẹ ọkọ̀ ìgbọ́dọ̀ mi ò sí lára program yẹn the last time tí àwọn bàbá wà mo wò wọ́n náà ẹ̀kọ́ yẹn a lọ síbi kan wọ́n ti lọ
mo wo gbogbo online platform báyìí kò sí níbi kankan sá. Màá wò tí n bá lè ṣe photocopy PDF tí n bá lè convert page yẹn bí 20 pages sí PDF ń bẹ́ẹ̀ màá convert as PDF within the next 1 week màá dẹ̀ share ẹ̀ fún gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa a lè má lè share online but a lè share lórí WhatsApp.
lórí WhatsApp.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
ok àwọn náà á lè.
àwọn èèyàn lè kà á.
tó bá lè jẹ́ pé títà náà ni.
àwa kọ́ la ṣe so a lè ta ṣe kò ká bá fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yes ká bá fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kì í ṣe nǹkan tó dáa ní pé kí a ta kò dáa rárá ní pé ká ta ẹ ṣé bàbá mo dúpẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ kí n fi yín lẹ̀ ẹ̀yin èèyàn wá ẹ ṣé bàbá mo dúpẹ́ o yes sir God bless you àmì àtẹ̀yìn náà sir thank you sir bye bye. èèyàn wá níjọ́ ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta tó kọjá tí í ṣe ọjọ́ kìíní oṣù karùn-ún a ṣe ìwọ́de àlàáfíà ní agbègbè Peckham nǹkan tó jọ mí lójú ń bẹ̀ ni pé a kó àwọn fìlà kan lọ síbẹ̀ láti pín ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí máa kúrò ń bẹ̀ títí kan àwọn tí kì í ṣe elédè wa pàápàá ni wọ́n darapọ̀ mọ́ wa nínú ìpàdé tá a fi wọ́de yìí àwa wò pé ìjẹ́ ohun tó yẹ ni kí a máa lọ wọ́de ní Trafalgar Square àbí Nigerian Embassy ó dà ní pé pàápàá jùlọ ní ọjọ́ bank holiday ó dà ní pé kì í ṣe nǹkan tó tọ̀nà nítorí ìdí èyí èmi gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹnìkan mò ń propose pé mò ń dá gẹ́gẹ́ bí àbá ni ìpaláṣẹ o pé kí a tún àyẹ̀ká ṣe àtúnyẹ̀wò ibi táwọn ti máa ṣe ìwọ́de ní ọ̀sẹ̀ kan ìparí oṣù kan di ọjọ́ kìíní ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta tó kọ́ ṣáájú nínú oṣù tuntun bóyá bá a ṣe lọ sí Peckham lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá ní oṣù tó bọ̀ ká lọ sí Hackney ní oṣù tó bá tẹ̀lé ká lọ sí Brixton ní tó bá tún tẹ̀lé ká lọ sí Woolwich mo ń dá lábàá ni o ó dá mi lójú pé àwọn ènìyàn wa wọ́n á túbọ̀ faramọ́ Yorùbá nation àti pàápàá arábìnrin kan béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi bẹ́ẹ̀ tí mo dẹ̀ rí pé ó jẹ́ ohun tó wú ni lórí púpọ̀ wípé fìlà tá à ń ṣe yẹn tá a bá lè máa tà á ní lódòdìdì fáwọn èèyàn lówó pọ́kú kí wọ́n máa pín fáwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wọn ẹni tó bá ń wọ fìlà nìkan ni kó gbà á o ẹni tí ò bá kí ń wọ fìlà kì í ṣe pé kẹ́ gba fìlà yẹn kẹ́ lọ mú pamọ́ sílé ìdí tá a ṣe ni pé ẹni tó bá ń wọ fìlà ní gbogbo bí tẹ́ bá dé fìlà yẹn lọ iwájú orí yín báyìí Yorùbá nation ní plate number ló jẹ́ fún wa advertisement billboard ńlá ló jẹ́ fún gbogbo ènìyàn nítorí ìdí èyí mò ń dá gẹ́gẹ́ bí àbá again wípé ẹni tó bá lè ra 10 ní pọ́n 5 pẹ̀lú owó gbígbé àbẹ̀rẹ̀ sí tàbẹ́ so that tẹ bá ra ẹni tó lè ra 10 kó pín fáwọn ọ̀rẹ́ kó pín fáwọn ẹni tí ò mọ̀ rí bóyá ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì kan lẹ́ ń lọ ní ẹ rà ẹ pín fáwọn ará ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì yín bẹ̀ káwọn náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí key into Yorùbá nation tó bá jẹ́ mọ́ṣáláṣí lẹ́ ń lọ náà ni ẹ pín fún ará mọ́ṣáláṣí yín kán bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí key into Yorùbá nation tó bá pé ibi iṣẹ́ kan lẹ́ ń lọ ní táwọn Áfíríkà wà ń bẹ̀ ẹ rà ẹ pín fáwọn bẹ̀ £50 kò kọjá owó tá a fi ń ṣe fàájì ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí láti ṣe nǹkan báyìí aago tí ẹ máa pè mí sí màá fi sí ojú òpó nísìnyí aago tẹ́ ẹ lè pè mí sí nìyẹn kì í ṣe dandan ní kẹ́ ẹ pè ẹ kàn sọ cap bó jẹ́ 10 lẹ fẹ́ rà ni bó jẹ́ 20 lẹ fẹ́ rà ni ẹ jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ àwọn bọ̀dá wa kan láwọn fẹ́ ra 500 lọ sí Nàìjíríà ẹ má bínú tó bá di ọ̀la màá send the invoice yín. I've been very busy in the last few days. Gbogbo àwọn tó fi t-shirt ránṣẹ́ náà pé àwọn fẹ́ ra t-shirt tí mi ti dáhùn lóhùn mi táyínù ṣùgbọ́n tígi bá rí lu igi tòkè la máa kọ́kọ́ ń gbé àti pàápàá pé torí holiday tó wà níta kò sí bá ṣe wá post ẹ̀ sí yín ìyẹn ò ń ṣe criteria but àwọn nǹkan kan wà tó wà pressing pàápàá jùlọ àwọn tí wọ́n náà kó wọlé ní ibì kan àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣe mọ̀nàmọ́ná àwọn tí wọ́n kidnap àwọn tí wọ́n lọ ṣe nǹkan tí ò yẹ kán ṣe ní gbogbo weekend yẹn nǹkan tí a fi gbọ́ nìyẹn ṣùgbọ́n lágbára Ọlọ́run tó bá di ọ̀la ní agbára Ọlọ́run màá dá gbogbo yín lóhùn pátápátá so ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá fi òǹtẹ̀ ránṣẹ́ ní alẹ́ yìí náà pé ẹ fẹ́ fìlà ẹ ní bínú sí mi ò ní dá yín lóhùn lálẹ́ yìí ṣùgbọ́n ní agbára Ọlọ́run ok mo ti rí èèyàn 4 tó fi pé àwọn fẹ́ fìlà ránṣẹ́ ní agbára Ọlọ́run màá dá yín lóhùn lọ́la àwa wo bó bá ṣe rí orí aago yẹn WhatsApp nìkan ni aago yẹn wà kò sí lórí pé kẹ́ ẹ pè mí direct tàbí kẹ́ ẹ text mi but ẹ lè fi WhatsApp message ok àǹtí mi ẹ kálẹ̀ mo ti rí tẹ̀yin náà màá dá yín lóhùn lọ́la so a lè jọ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀ bí ẹ ṣe máa ṣe. Yes, you can buy 20. Thank you, sis. Okay. Ní agbára Ọlọ́run, a ó mọ̀ bí a ṣe máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí yanjú ẹ̀ láti ọ̀la lọ. Mo kí yín pé ẹ ṣé púpọ̀, ẹ kú ìfọmọnìyàn ṣe. Ẹ má fi fìlà sí orí chaati YouTube nítorí pé mi ò ní lè dá yín lóhùn níbẹ̀. Gbogbo ọmọ Odùduwà mi mọ̀ pé ẹ fẹ́ràn Odùduwà tó yìí o ṣùgbọ́n tẹ bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pín ẹjọ́ àwọn tó máa wọ̀ tó máa dé ní kẹ́ pín fún ẹ má kàn pín fún àwọn èèyàn nítorí pé wọ́n fẹ́ gba fìlà ẹ má kàn pín nítorí pé wọ́n fẹ́ gba fìlà àwọn tó máa wọ̀ àwọn ni kí ẹjọ́ kí ẹ bá mi pè fún nítorí pé a fẹ́ fi ṣe advertisement ni Malik kò yé mi nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ sọ. $14 days start from today from the 3rd okay nítorí pé America lè wà ní àwọn tó wà ní táìmù ilẹ̀ Odùduwà ọjọ́ ilẹ̀ Odùduwà la fi pè é láti ọjọ́ 3 oṣù 5 àwọn mi pé ultimatum yẹn wà tán ní on the 17th. Bàbá mo ṣì wà lórí ètò yẹn o máa pè yín padà láìpẹ́ sá. Mo ṣì wà lórí máa pè yín padà láìpẹ́ ẹ ṣé sá. Ẹ mo ti yọ yín kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀ ni sá ẹ ṣé sá. Thanks sir. Ẹ ṣé. Bàbá wa ni bàbá Alex Ajala àwọn èèyàn bí èèyàn àwọn ẹni bí ẹni àwọn bàbá tí wọ́n tó fi ẹ̀yìn tì. Okay mo ti rántí yín mo ti fún arákùnrin yẹn ní nọ́mbà yín mo ti fún wọn ní nọ́mbà yín ó dẹ̀ yẹ kí wọ́n ti pè yín bóyá torí pé wọ́n ní iṣẹ́ pọ̀ ní weekend yìí ni ṣùgbọ́n ní agbára Ọlọ́run màá lé wọn lọ́la pé kí wọ́n rí dájú pé wọ́n pè yín lọ́la sà ṣùgbọ́n ẹ filẹ̀ fún mi sà màá lé wọn lọ́la pé kí n fẹ́ wo pé mo ti sẹ́ndì aago yín sí tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ mo wo message tí mo send sí ni o. Ẹ má bínú message tí mo send sí ti pọ̀ so mi ò rí ẹ ǹlẹ́ o ẹ̀yin tẹ́ fẹ́ fìlà ẹ má kọ story sí ẹ kọ̀ọ̀kan cap lásán ti good days our heritage good day to you back uncle ẹ má kọ story sí ọmọ easy uncle Rotimi mo ti rí aago yín ẹ má kọ story sí o pẹ́pẹ́ ń gbọ́ mi ẹ má kọ story sí mo ti rí ten type o ẹ kọ̀ọ̀kan cap lásán tẹ́ bá ti ń kọ story yẹn mi ní rí ká mi ní rí bọ̀rọ̀ mo rọ̀ yín ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ bá mi fi ìfẹ́ hàn lórí ètò yìí ní àṣálẹ́ yìí tí ẹ bá fẹ́ràn ẹ̀ èyí ti like tí ẹ bá fẹ́ràn ẹ̀ èyí tí ẹ kó lọlẹ̀ náà bákan náà tẹ́ bá fẹ́ràn ẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kó lọ sí òkè kí a lè mọ̀ bóyá a máa ní nǹkan tá a máa ṣe sí tí ẹ máa fi máa fẹ́ràn ẹ̀ bó bá ṣe rí gangan ní kẹ́ ẹ ṣe wí o ẹ má parọ́ ẹ má ṣojú ṣáájú o Ọlọ́run á gbà fún gbogbo wa ẹnjìnìà Àdámọ̀lẹ́kùn mo rí yín mo kí yín pé ẹ kú ìfọmùnìyàn ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá wo ètò lálẹ́ yìí mo bẹ̀ yín lórí Facebook ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá fi ìfẹ́ hàn ẹ like page wa yẹn kí Ọlọ́run kó máa fún gbogbo wa ṣe ẹ ṣe títí di ọ̀la tẹ́ẹ̀tù máa pàdé mi lórí ètò èmi ni tiyín tòótọ́ Adé ní orúkọ mi Adé méjì ni o Adégbóyèga Adébọ̀wálé ẹ kú bí ojú ọjọ́ ṣe rí Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ ká sùn láyọ̀ ká sì jí láyọ̀ ó dàárọ̀ o ká sùn láyọ̀ ká jí láàárọ̀ ó dìgbà.
ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ jùmọ̀ kọ orin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àwa ni Ògo Adúláwọ̀.